Hi everybody, another little video on the Divine Will, maybe, kind of a. But actually what we're going to focus on in this one is the Hours of the Passion, which is a separate work, although it's united to the Divine Will, I'll explain, but also written by Louisa Piccarreta. Let's just be clear, but at the start, this does not contain the knowledges and the truths and the understanding of how to live in the Divine Will. Oops, had it back to front. This is where you will find the knowledges, the truths, and how to actually apply living in the Divine Will to your life. So this contains the gift. This is the Hours of the Passion. But let's speak about how important this is as well, and the effects that these meditations on each hour and each word actually has on humanity. Alright, so one of the first questions that will come to people's mind about Louisa Piccarreta, about the Book of Heaven, about the Hours of the Passion, about doing rounds, about the Virgin Mary and the Kingdom of the Divine Will, they will say, oh, does this have approval of the church? Now, yes it does. I'm going to read that to you in one moment. But what do people mean when they say the church? They're talking about the hierarchy of the church, because the definition of the church is that mystically Jesus is the head, Christ is the head, and all members of the church make up the body. And what it should be is that when the head, i.e. speaking in this sense, when the head, Jesus, gives a command, the body carries it out. So each individual member carries out the command from the head, Jesus, to do his work, his will here on earth, and collectively we make up his body, mystical body, and that is the church. Christ is the head and we are the body. But does it have approval? So that's including everybody, sorry. The Pope, cardinals, bishops, priests, monks, nuns, lay people, all who are part of the church are the mystical body of Christ. The church is all of us. Christ the head, we are the body. But what people mean is, does this have approval from the hierarchy of the church? Yes. So I'm going to read it out because here we go. So this, the Book of Heaven, yes, this has imprimaturs and also the Nihil Obstat. But let's just talk about the Hours of the Passion. So there are 5 editions of the Hours of the Passion. And so the first edition, written in published in 1915, has a Nihil Obstat and an imprimatur. Second edition in 1916, Nihil Obstat, imprimatur. Third edition, 1917, re-imprimatur. Fourth edition, 1924, Nihil Obstat. Fifth edition, 1934, Nihil Obstat. There you go, you can check all that. Don't take my word for it, or even the word of this book. Do your own research. And on top of that, in 2023, I believe, yes it was 2023, Louisa's cause for beatification was briefly suspended, but by the Dicastery of the Doctrine of Faith, and then in 2024 her cause for beatification was then resumed, and all of her work was given a further Nihil Obstat, meaning no doctrinal error. And again, don't take my word for it, do your own research, but there is the approval from the hierarchy of the church. Okay. So, that being said, let's speak a bit about this. So, in this book, again, sorry, I've not said this yet. You can buy this book separately, or, like all of Louisa's work, go online and you can download it all for free. the best things in life come for free. Yeah. Anyway, so what's in the Hours of the Passion? So, it's a meditation on 24 hours, looking at each individual hour from the day before Jesus was crucified and buried in the tomb up until that point. And it starts from the hour 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. and the title of that hour, the first one there, is Jesus takes leave of his most holy mother. And then it will tell us everything that Jesus and Mary went through in that hour. And so that's 5 to 6 p.m. and of course the next one will be 6 p.m. to 7 p.m, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m, etc, etc, all the way up until 4 p.m, until 5 p.m, I believe. We'll just check. It's got to be. Yeah, until 4 p.m. to 5 p.m, just after Jesus was crucified. And that one is entitled The Burial of Jesus, Most Holy and Desolate Mary. Okay, so each of those hours is an in-depth description and meditation on what Jesus suffered and went through in each of those hours. And then after the specific meditation on each hour, there is a reflection and practice written by a canonized saint, Saint Hannibal Marie de Francia. I've found that these reflections and practices are very good as well. If we can apply what Saint Hannibal Marie de Francia says in them, wow, they're really good for spiritual growth. But anyway, so that being said, the reflection and practice is not the meditation on the hour. The hour is written by Luisa Piccarreta, dictated to her, again by Jesus. But it's good to read them both. So next, let's talk about the effects that the meditations have. Oh, I'll point out first that each hour of the Passion does not mean that it takes 1 hour to read. Some of the readings are maybe two or three pages, some are a bit longer. Do you have to read the full hour? No. You can even take a little paragraph at a time. It's entirely up to yourself. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But first, let's talk about the effects that this meditation has. Now, so like I say, this is a separate work. But while Louisa's been writing this, the Book of Heaven, dictated to her by Jesus, at specific parts of specific volumes, Jesus tells her about the effects that meditating on the Hours of the Passion produces. And so this little other book that I've got takes the date, the volume number, and it tells us what the Book of Heaven says about the hours. I'm not going to read it all. I'm going to give you the volume number and the date, so please read for yourself. I've just highlighted a few bits. So the first part that I'm going to, just to emphasize the effects that these meditations on the Hours of the Passion has for humanity. So the first part I'm going to read is from Volume 7, November 9, 1906. And Jesus says to Louisa, "So, if in the course of my passion they gave me ropes and chains to tie me, the soul releases me and gives me freedom. They despised me, spat on me and dishonoured me. She appreciates me, cleans me of that spittle and honours me. They stripped me and scourged me, she heals me and clothes me. They crowned me with thorns, mocking me as king, embittered my mouth with bile, and crucified me. While the soul, meditating on all my pains, crowns me with glory and honours me as her king, fills my mouth with sweetness, giving me the most delicious food, which is the memory of my own works, and unnailing me from the cross, she makes me rise again in her heart. And every time she does so, I give her a new life of grace as recompense. The next part, from April 10th, 1913, volume 11. Louisa asks Jesus, "Tell me, my good, what will you give as recompense to those who will do the hours of the Passion the way you taught them to me?" Oh, I'm going to sneeze. No, I'm not. I might be. No, it's away again. And Jesus responds, "My daughter, I will look at these hours, not as yours, but as done by me. I will give you my same merits as if I were in the act of suffering my passion, and the same effects according to the disposition of the souls." And before I finish that paragraph, let's touch on that. That's so important. I will give you the same merits as if I were in the act of suffering my passion, and the same effects. Okay, so what was the point? Why did Jesus suffer the passion? To redeem souls. So by meditating on these, he's offering us those effects. Because remember, like we spoke about so many times, because it's not us that does it, it's not us that has that power, but we do it in the divine will, and so we give Jesus the freedom to operate in us and through us, and the act becomes divine, so he can use it to save souls, but it gets more and more and more. So then he says, "This is while they are on earth, and I could not give them a greater reward. Then in heaven I will place these souls in front of me, darting through them with darts of love and of contentments for as many times as they did the hours of my passion, and they will dart through me. What a sweet enchantment this will be for the blessed." Then in September the 6th, 1913, volume 11, he speaks to Louisa and says to her, he talks about the amount of times that when the world deserved chastisements, through her meditating on these hours, he changed the chastisements into graces for the whole earth. 1 minute, my phone's gone low on battery. Oh man, my phone's went low on battery and I've had to plug it in, and I can't really stand it as well. But it will work for the end of this video. So then, bear with me. Okay, so this is the part that I find of highest importance, because I said it keeps getting greater and greater what Jesus is telling Louisa that the effects of meditating on these hours has for souls. So on October 1914, in volume 11, Louisa says to Jesus, "How many sacrifices in order to write these blessed hours of the Passion, especially to put on paper certain interior acts which had passed only between me and Jesus. What will be the recompense that he will give me?" Sorry, that's a thought that she has. And Jesus, letting me hear his tender and sweet voice, told me, "My daughter, as recompense for having written the hours of my passion, for each word you have written, I will give you a kiss, a soul." And Louisa says to Jesus, "My love, this is for me, and what will you give to those who will do them for us?" And Jesus says, "If they do them together with me and with my own will," so that's in his divine will, "I will also give them a soul for each word they will recite, because the greater or lesser effectiveness of these hours of my passion as in the greater or lesser union that they have with me. By doing them with my will, the creature hides within my volition, and since it is my volition that acts, I can produce all the goods I want, even through one word alone. And this for each time you will do them. So there we go. How amazing is that? Look at the importance of this. For each single word, as long as we are united to Jesus in his divine will, for each word of the hours of the Passion, he will give us a soul. What does it mean to give somebody something? It's yours, and what do we want for that soul? We want it to be saved. So for each word, Jesus will save a soul, as long as these are done in his divine will. In fact, let's just read a wee bit right now and save souls, because we are fused together with you, Jesus, in your will. And let's just read the first paragraph. O Heavenly Mother, the hour of separation draws near, and I come to you. O Mother, give me your love, your reparations, and your sorrows together with you. I want to follow adored Jesus step by step. First paragraph, look at all those souls saved. Thank you, Jesus, we love you. Anyway, let me just finish with a couple of things. Now, if you are unsure, if you've been watching these videos, you will know the prayer, how we fuse ourselves in Jesus' will. So it's not us that's acting, but him that's acting in us and through us. And if you're making your prevenient act every morning, then we are given the freedom to Jesus to operate in us and through us, as long as we're not doing anything we shouldn't be doing. But if you are unsure, then at the beginning of this book, which again can be downloaded for free, and then it's here, it's also in this one as well, but there's a prayer before each hour, and by saying this prayer, effectively you are fusing yourself in the will of Jesus to give him that freedom. So therefore you can make this prayer, then read each hour, or a paragraph, or a page, or 2 pages, or the full book, and then when you finish the portion that you choose to read, there's a concluding prayer if you want to make it a thanksgiving after each hour. So there you go. How amazing is that? We can literally save souls for each word of the hours of the Passion that we meditate on. Just make some time to do it. And so yeah, me personally, I don't know how many times I have meditated on this book and then I just go back to the start again. I stopped doing it for a little while, and then I resumed it again in the morning, most mornings. And what else was I going to say? Oh, Padre Pio, St. Padre Pio, who said, by the way, that Luisa Piccarreta will become the greatest saint of all time. He said a lot more about her as well. Something like, she is not a human factor, she is a gift from God. The world will see the light of Luisa in the new millennia, which is now. He lived near Luisa Piccarreta. They communicated. I think he read this 4 times at least. So I just wanted to add that bit in as well. Yeah, just wanted to add that wee bit in as well. Anyway, right, that's enough that I've said, I think. Yes, thank you very much for listening. God bless you all. Love you all in the divine will. Have a nice new year, and yeah, fuse yourself in Jesus' divine will and save souls. What an amazing gift. God bless. Ciao.